Noni here. It's been about 4 months since my last video. A lot of not so great shit has happened between now and then. My husband and I are separated. Excuse me, hold on. It's not necessarily something I wanted. I'm not entirely sure if he wanted it. But something happened and other people decided that we can no longer live together right now. The problem is that, where I was living wasn't technically my house, even though I've lived there for 10 years, but I didn't buy it. I did put money into it. I put a lot of money into it. But I didn't own it. So, anyway, my husband is alive. I know the last video I made was me crying and really upset because he had gone to the hospital. And he was in there for about a week and he got out. I'm not going to go into the details about why he had to go to the hospital, why he was there so long. I can just tell you that he does have some ongoing health issues. And I'll just leave it at that because it's not my business really to tell what's going on with him medically. But as you can see, this is not my comforter. I didn't buy this. My girlfriend did. My girlfriend. That's that thing is, what is that? It's a nightstand with 2 little lovebirds on it. See the lovebirds? But as you can see, this is not my bedroom. Sorry, dropped you right into my dress. How you doing? I'm such a professional YouTuber. Everyone should be jealous. Anyway, I was forced out of the only home I've known in 10 years. Lies were spread about me to my entire family. My mom believed them 100%, fell for them hook, line, and sinker. I was forced to leave my husband, my house, my belongings, my dog, my cats, and I have seen none of those things that I listed for the end of this month. Will be 4 months. It has been the hardest 4 months of my entire life. And a lot of it is because when something happens to you that is so unexpected, I never might start crying. So I never in a million years, ever would have thought that something like this would happen to me. Obviously, when you're in a marriage, you know that you're either going to die before your spouse or your spouse is going to die before you. And so that's something that you just expect, and the older you get, the closer you are to that moment. I'm not trying to be morbid, but that's just the reality of life. And I am in no way saying I wish that would have happened instead of this. If I had to do this 1,000 times over and have my husband still be alive, I would do that. And he is still alive, and I'm very thankful for that. But I think I would say this was of the worst experience of my entire adult life so far. Hopefully I never have to deal with anything this bad again, but I was given a week to get out, and because some lies were spread to my mother, she completely and 100% totally just believed them. And instead of bringing any concerns to me and talking to me about them, she essentially, I mean, she didn't say, like, I no longer want to be in your life, but if you're going to tell me I'm too much of a burden for you to take me in when I have nowhere else to go, because you don't know where you would put all your crafts. She didn't know where she was going to put all of her crafts, y'all. But then also just to believe these lies and not like get on the phone and just say, hey, I was just told this and I'm really concerned about you. Valid. If someone were to call me about one of my children and say, oh my God, this is happening, of course I would be terrified. But then I would call them and say, what the fuck is going on? Are you okay? Somebody just told me this. Are you okay? What can I do? I love you. What can I do? I'm just going to immediately, do I need to come to your house immediately and just take care of you? What do you need? No, not my mom. Basically, after I was told to get out, I had a complete breakdown. I was unable to do anything but cry hysterically. Luckily, I had what I call my little army, and it was my best friend, my cousin who lives in Florida, my best friend who lives in Kentucky, and my really good friend that I met at work years and years and years ago, and she's one of my best friends, and she took me in. She has a house. She lives alone. She's got 2 wonderful dogs and a cat. But she has a spare room, a guest room, which is where I am. And she took me in. And she didn't ask for anything. So, and then, you know, my boys never believed it for a second. And because my daughter, you know, lived with me, my youngest daughter, she didn't really have a say in the matter of whether I go or not. Like, it's not her house, and in the grand scheme of things, like, even though she is a full-fledged adult, she's still a baby, right? So, meaning, out of the scenario, she's the child living in that house, and then it's myself and my husband, and then the mother-in-law. So anyway, there's not much that my daughter could do. So, I was completely, that week that I had to get out was just, I spent the entire time in bed because I just didn't, I just, you know, I've been married to my husband for, it'll be 24 years next month. And the longest that we've ever been apart is when I was in my 30s and I used to travel for work. And and I'd be gone for like a week. And like we'd get like, you know, misty-eyed and tear up a little bit whenever we had to be apart. And so being apart from him for 4 months when he's having some pretty serious health problems is very scary and sad and lonely, and, you know, my life is there. This is not my life. Like, I'm in limbo right now. I have no idea when I'm going to be able to see my husband again. I don't know if I'm ever going to see my dog again or my cats or live that life again. I just never, like, never, ever in a million years, if somebody had laid this out for me and said, this is what's going to happen to you when you're 52, never would have guessed it. I am in the worst position that I've ever been in my whole life. I have no job. I haven't worked for 4 years, 2 years, fuck. I have no job. I haven't worked for 2 years because of COVID. And, like, well, no, I did work. I worked in 2021 for 4 months, but then I had a really bad flare, and that caused me to miss a bunch of work, and they fired me. So, can I get a job? Probably. Can I keep a job? Probably not. Like, anyway, at this point, I'm probably going to be talking about some stuff that is triggering, like, suicide, stuff like that. So if that is something that you cannot, it's hard for you to listen to, or is going to in any way put you in any kind of danger mentally, please stop watching. So I was already really depressed, before all this happened, and because, like, I've never not worked, and for, like, so long I worked, and I was, like, when you're a mom and a wife, and I guess my personality anyway, you're just a boss bitch. Like, even if you're not a boss bitch, right? You take care of it all, and, kind of delegate, if there's something you need your husband to do, you delegate it. And it's just been like that ever since, as long as I can remember, except for when I was, like, a stay-at-home mom and all that junk, but I won't go into that situation. Anyway, so, like I said, my friend was like, you can come over here, just pack up what you need and bring whatever you need. Like, she was so sweet. She was just bring whatever. I brought so many things that just, like, are still in bags and boxes, because, like, I've been through this before where I stayed with a boyfriend, and something very precious was just thrown out in the trash. And it's a one-of-a-kind thing, and I will never get it back, because the person that had it made for me is dead, and it was from my dad. So I was really scared that, like, oh my God, I have so many, like, sentimental things that are, like, in storage or around the house that I was afraid would just get tossed out or sold or whatever. So I just brought some, anyway, none of that matters. So, during that week, I spent most of the time in bed or crying hysterically and hyperventilating because I couldn't understand what was going on. Wow. It's kind of been like a minute since I've gone back there in my mind, you know what I mean? And I've waited this long to talk about it because I thought it would be just so hard to talk about. I couldn't do it. And I'm finding that it is still that hard to talk about. So I may have to stop the video here and try this again another day, because I don't know if I can get through it. It's like I have a mental block. Like, all I can say is, or think is, you know, my friend let me come stay with her, and I had a week to pack up my shit. And, oh, okay, I've got a fun nugget I can share with you. So, obviously, during that time, like, I was already, I've always thought of suicide, like, my whole life, I've always thought of suicide. It's kind of like my escape hatch, because, you know, I was being sexually assaulted by my adopted father on a routine basis, and since I was like 4 to 11 or 3 to 11 or something like that. And it's basically like, as soon as I learned that suicide was a thing, that's when I was like, oh, well, I can do that thing too. If I ever need to, I can do that thing. And obviously, you know, when I had a chronic illness, when I realized I have a chronic illness, and it was years ago, it was way worse. I, you know, often had in the back of my head, like, I'm not going to live this way for 30 years. I just fucking refuse. And nobody would make their dog live like this. Like, we euthanize our dogs. So, to me, there's valid justification for people to decide what to do with their lives when they are suffering. So anyway, I became deeply suicidal, and my mom called me one day. I've forgotten a lot about, like, what happened before the call. Did she really call me, or did I call her? I don't know the details of that. I mean, nor do they matter, but, like, if someone wanted to, like, no, I called you, or you called me, like, it doesn't change what was said. But yeah, I can honestly say, like, I don't know the details, because I have probably blocked a lot of stuff out. Plus, that shit, that just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who called who. Bottom line, what matters is how I was treated. And my own mother said to me, you're overweight, you're a slob, and I don't like you. Look at that. That was so heinous that my phone just jumped off the counter and fell into my sock drawer. Yeah, my mom said that to me. Like, knowing I was suicidal, knowing what I was going through, that I was being pushed out of my home, possibly. Like, I didn't know, are we getting divorced? Am I, like, what's happening? I had no idea. So, yeah, she said that to me. And I can't remember if she hung up on me. I remember I burst into tears and started crying. And I was like, I just was flabbergasted. Like, I can't, what on earth would possess you to say that to your child, period? But then to your child, knowing what she is going through and that she's suicidal. Like, what in the absolute fuck is wrong with you? And the answer is nothing, okay? Nothing. She does not have a mental illness. So we cannot blame that on any of that shit. So is she just, like, a sociopath bitch? I don't know. Like, I was shocked. I have had issues with my mother. Like, I'm never good enough for her and her precious little 92-pound, you know, body. But, like, she's never been cruel. Passive aggressive, yes. Narcissistic, yes. Never just blatantly and purposefully cruel. Like, who would say that to their own child? I just, it blows me away. I could never. So anyway, that happened. And I ended up moving out within a week. So I came here and was still just like in agony. And then some other things happened where some other family members, there was just a lot of betrayal going on, and meanness and lies, so many lies about me. And I think one of the things, I know, one of the things that put me in the position of being able to be betrayed and lies told about me was my chronic illness and the fact that I have to take a lot of medication. People will use that against you. And especially those of you out there that have, like, if you have young children and you have a chronic illness and you have to take medication, I'm going to tell you now, do not share that information with mother-in-laws, anyone that you don't trust. I mean, the thing is, I don't even know if you can share it with anybody. Like, the people, I went from having 9 people in a family, all in the same, not suburb, but like, area, same state, same area, 9, to 3. So, because the rest either believed the lies or were telling lies. So if you have to take any medication and you have young children, I just mean children 18 and under. I don't know if I would tell anybody other than the people that absolutely have to know, like, I guess your spouse, because you live with them. But, like, I wouldn't tell anybody else because it can be used against you by people that you trust implicitly, by people that you think would never, ever in a million years betray you and tell lies about you. That is one of the pitfalls of chronic illness that I just learned. I mean, I thought I knew all the pitfalls. I thought I knew all the crazy shit that could happen and be done to you because of chronic illness. I had no fucking clue. I had absolutely no fucking clue. So, yeah. So just warning, just don't tell anyone that you don't have to. And fellow employees, nobody. So anyway, I came here to stay and I was a complete fucking wreck. My husband and I were not speaking at all. He wasn't really physically able to. He was still kind of like recovering. I don't know if my toe is about to rot right off of my body. Something is happening with my toe. Anyway, we'll worry about that later. So my husband and I weren't talking, and I didn't know, like, I've never not been involved in his health before. He's had health issues in the past, which resolved, but, like, when they were happening, I was involved in them, and he has always been involved in my health issues. But, like, to be left clueless to what's happening to your own spouse, like, no one even has the courtesy to keep you updated and let you know like what's going on. God, that was one of the worst. Like, I would try to call and text and find out like how he was doing, and I was just absolutely ghosted. Like, you know, this April will be 24 years of marriage. And I've known him for 30. Like, we were best friends before we ever became, you know, this together. And to go through losing everything, car, cats, dog, house, belongings, husband, you know, like, not losing him, he didn't die, but you know what I mean. Like, I haven't seen him. I haven't been able, like, I wasn't able to talk to him or find out how he was. So you're already in like this weird place of limbo and not knowing, okay, what's going to happen tomorrow? And what am I going to do? I have nothing. I have nothing but the shit that I packed, the bags that I packed, the clothes that are in this little closet here. That's all of my life of 52 years. Like, and that's not all. Like, most of it's with my husband. But I don't know if I'm going to see it again. Anyway, so my mother and I didn't communicate much after the name-calling incident, because why the fuck would I want to talk to her? I then continued to go down, like, mentally, just like, I just lost my shit, y'all, which is fine. And I don't, like, just know that when I say this, like, I lost my shit, I'm just talking about my mental illness that way. If that's not how you like to refer to your mental illness, that's fine. Just don't come at me for the way I want to describe or talk about mine. I mean, no offense by any of it. It's just how I talk. So, anyway, my mental and emotional health was just tanking. And I ended up having to be committed to a mental health facility. Now, this was my first time. And I will say this. It was also a rehab. So they kind of put the two together. It's like a mental health facility for like people that are suicidal, which is why I went. Or people that are having, like, maybe they have schizophrenia or bipolar, but they stopped taking their meds. And so they had a, I don't know what the word is. They had a episode based on the fact that they were missing their medications. So, and then there were other people there that were there because they were detoxing. But, so if you ever feel like, you know, I'm really suicidal and I'm scared because I don't really want to die. I just don't know what to do. Find your way to a mental health care facility. I wouldn't say necessarily the psychiatric ward of a hospital. Just heard not so great things about that kind of thing. But this was a standalone mental health care facility / rehab. And oh, this is my cup. This is my cup from the rehab. The name of it used to be right here, these little white dots. And it's come off, but this is still here. I hand washed this baby, so I don't have to put it in the dishwasher because, I don't know, I might end up keeping it forever. This kind of reminds me of what I did because It takes a strong person to be able to do that. And so I applaud any and all of you that have. And if you haven't, but you think you need to, let me tell you this. It was definitely one of the hardest decisions I had to make because, you know, I suffer from PTSD due to chronic sexual assault against me by my adopted dad to my much younger self, ages 3 to 11. And so, what was I going to say after that? Take a shot. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I can't think of what I was going to say. Just that, you know, if you find yourself in need, do not be ashamed. Just do it and go, because you will be surprised. For me, what happened, my fears going in were, okay, when you think of mental health care facilities, like in the movies, they're usually depicted as big, giant orderlies that, you know, walk the halls waiting for their chance to rape and sexually assault the people that are in their, you know, locked in their rooms. So, of course, I found that terrifying. And then I was like, you know, either option, like having the door locked, I was scared of, or having a door that didn't lock, I was scared of, or a door that stayed open, I was scared of. But I went, and the door did stay open. Oh, and I was also scared of having a roommate, because I was like, what if this roommate, like, is like, hey, I want to kill myself, but I don't want to go alone, so I'm taking you. Like, you know, when everything is fear-based, like, you think of everything. Even though, like, 99.999% of that shit's never going to really happen. But, you know, movies, right? So anyway, it doesn't help that I also spent many, many, many years listening to murder podcasts and true crime podcasts. So I went in, and I was very calm, like a kid going to their first doctor's appointment or dentist appointment, and like, I don't know, like, not even that really, because I think as a kid I would feel maybe some like, oh, you know, fear or whatever. But I didn't feel afraid at all. I just felt super numb, like, and I just was like this, like, you know, just like, okay, whatever, cool. And I got up when they told me to get up. I sat down when they told me to sit down. They admitted me, which is a bazillion bunch of paperwork. Take a snack, take something to drink, because you're going to be there for a minute. Just filling all that shit out. The place, so the facility, just like the walls were lined with doors that opened, and I was given a room that has like beds, it's like a twin, but it's on top of a bed that looks like it's solid wood, like you can't see under the bed. And then what they do is they take, well, first, when they're admitting you, you're sitting outside at the nurse's station, and they go through all of your belongings. I accidentally had a knife in my backpack that I keep in there in case any Uber driver tries to murder me. And I forgot it was in there. So that was embarrassing. I was like, promise I had no bad intentions when I accidentally brought that shit in. So they locked it up. You can't take anything that has a hint of a lace or a tie of any kind. Like I had Skechers, I don't know where my shoes are. I had Skechers that had like what looked like shoelaces kind of going across, but then they just stopped because they're slip-ons, and I had to cut those off because what I could have done is somehow cut those off in the facility and then tied them together and then use them to do things around my neck. You know what I'm saying? So you can't have anything like that that has a tie or whatever. So, what sucked about it was that they would not let me have my cough drops, and y'all know how I feel about my cough drops. Like, my mouth is dry and burns 24/7, so I have to have them all the time. Also, I eat Tums like it's candy because I have constant heartburn, and I did get to have this. I never really asked, but this was, of course, here where it normally is. So maybe they just didn't notice or care. I don't know. But thank God I had this because I wasn't able to have my Tums or my chapstick. I mean, my Tums or my cough drops. So my mouth was constantly burning and dry. And then I had just constant heartburn. So it was rather difficult for me to focus on like group and all of that because I was in a constant state of discomfort. I did have a roommate. She was absolutely lovely and precious. And that's all I'll say about her because that's her private business, and so I'm not going to talk about it. But she was lovely and precious and perfect. And she was with me the whole time. So I didn't have to worry about getting another roommate and do we get along and all that. So I went out after, I was done. They took all my stuff. They went through all my meds, and then they take your meds to a nurse's station where they will dispense them at specific times of day, which was also fine. So, I had taken like a book to read. You can take books to read. Can't take your cell phone. Obviously you can take your Bibles or anything that is part of your religious work. You can take that. As long as it's not anything that you can use to harm yourself. I'm trying to think. There's you have to use the bathroom. The bathroom has it does have a door that shuts, but there's very huge spaces where anyone could just lay on their back and look right in and see all of you. Or, what is this? What's happening? Okay. Or they could look up top and see all of you. So my girlfriend and I said, let's have a code for when, excuse me, for when we have to get business done that requires privacy, whatever that may be. Because you can't shut your door. So if you're going to change clothes, you're going to do anything that you do not want to do with the potential of someone watching you do it. Okay, so I said, our code word is Threat Level Midnight, which is from The Office, which is a show she loved too. So that was fun. But, yeah, so I spent time reading, and then they have activities which are all mental, emotional kind of workshops and stuff like that, and activities that we would do around that. We ate 3 times a day. So 3 times a day we had to go to the cafeteria, which was kind of a long haul. I think I was there 7 or 8 days. And by the last couple days, my knee was absolutely just so much pain. So that last night they had to give me a shot of Toradol in my booty because I started not being able to sleep, and it was agony. So, But what I loved most about this place, you know, is I think we all kind of walk around with these, what I would call like cloaks of shame, right? Especially the older you get, the more things you might be ashamed of, even if it's not really valid for you to feel shame for things. Most of the things we all feel shame about, we shouldn't anyway. Like, we're just, that's part of the trappings of our modern culture here in America. You know, maybe you're ashamed of being fat, or you're ashamed of not wearing makeup every day. I'm not ashamed of not wearing makeup. Absolutely not ashamed of that. But just all the things, like mistakes that you've made, like every mistake that I've made, I carry so much guilt with me constantly. Oh my God. The guilt is so fucking real. Most of it's like mothery guilt. I think all of it's mothery guilt, like just mistakes I've made, and I just can't stop feeling guilty about them. But when you get in there, it's like you take that cloak of shame and you just shed it. Now, for me, it was like I walked into that facility and they just, you know, someone takes your coat, like a gentleman might take your coat from behind you. It's like I undid my cloak in the front and then just let it go. And I felt no shame. I felt no judgment. Oh, it felt so good. Oh my God. Like, for an entire week, I was surrounded by strangers from various ages, various economical points in their life, various everything, status, class, just, and men. Surprise, there were men there. Now, that was one of the things that at first I was like, what? Because when I first got there, like, it was all women. And most of the time I was there, it was all women. I think part of that's because women carry a lot more of a burden than men do. We do. In terms of emotional and mental burdens, fuck yes, we do. But I also think men, sadly, are treated lesser than if they seek help, which is so wrong and so fucked up. And I hope one day that they do feel more comfortable sharing their emotional and mental burdens, even if they don't go to a facility, just sharing their feelings with other people, I think would help their physical health, just everything. It's life-changing if you can just share your burdens with other people, your worries, you know? And I think that's the biggest reason why I didn't see a lot of men there, is because it's frowned upon, you know? Oh, you're weak. Oh, you're not a real man. And it's just so not true. And let me tell you, if there's any guys watching, women love them a man that has feelings and emotions. I know I do. I don't know any women that don't prefer a man with feelings and emotions. I don't want to live with a robot, because I don't want to live with somebody that doesn't have any feelings or empathy. I need someone that has empathy. Maybe not as much as me, because then we're both just going to be crying all the time. But, you know, I definitely have always appreciated and been more drawn to men that have and show feelings. So there were men there, but it turned out not to be an issue. And they were of all ages too. So it was women of all ages, men of all ages. And when we weren't going to the cafeteria or sleeping, we were just sitting and talking. So there were two areas kind of set up like a living room, where there were like a lot of chairs and like a U shape, and then a table in the middle, and then a TV kind of up on the wall. I never really watched any of the TV shows. We would just sit and talk for hours and hear about each other's stories. And the thing is if you don't want to share your story, you do not have to. You don't have to go to group. It's called group, like all the different times, like 3 or 4 times, I think, we get together for group. And you don't have to go to group. And if you do go to group, you don't have to share in group. You don't have to participate. You can just observe. I do suggest that you go and participate as much as possible because it's very helpful. But you don't have to. You can also stay in your room the entire time that you're there if you want to. And no one but your roommate can come in your room. And of course, a staff member. A staff member can come in your room if they want to. They don't come, like, and it's like where I went, it's small enough to where, like, now unfortunately my room was literally like, here's my room, here's the nurse's station, here's a bright light up here over the nurse's station, here's a lot of talking during the night shift at nurse's station, here's my room. Luckily I had Ambien, so I didn't deal with too much. But you know, when you're in a hospital, like, they have to come in and check your vitals. I'm like, I don't know why you're checking my vitals. You need to check this. I'm not here for vital shit, okay? I'm alive. Yes, leave me alone. And then, like, I think I went to almost every group. They would only let us write with pencils, though, not pens. And that was, like, I can't stand, like, I had to deal with a lot of uncomfortableness while I was there, and it had nothing to do with sharing. It was all like, I didn't have my cough drops. I didn't have my Tums. I had to write with a pencil because it, like, just gives me the heebie-jeebies kind of thing. I hate writing with pencils, but I had to, so. And every day we would fill out these sheets about how we're feeling, like, are you feeling suicidal? Rate it from a number of 1 to 10. Are you planning to, you know, because there's a difference between, like, are you thinking about killing yourself? Yes. Are you planning on killing yourself? No. So, and they ask you these questions like every day. Then, first of all, you have to fill it out on a sheet. But then when you go to the nurse's station to get your meds, they also ask you, like, how are you feeling today? Are you thinking of killing yourself, hurting yourself? No. Are you thinking of hurting someone else? No. Are you planning on killing yourself? No. So, they would ask all this. And then, so 3 times a day we did meds, and 3 times a day we went to eat, and then, like, 4 times a day or more we had group, and then there was, like, free time where you're just hanging around, like I said, talking. That was my favorite, the just sitting and talking, getting to know everybody and their different stories and the strength. You know, some of these, I'm just going to say women because that's mostly who I spent my time talking to. Some of these women had been to so many places like this, so many facilities. This was not their first time at the rodeo, and I just admire their strength so much to keep going and seeking help when you feel helpless. I admire that a lot. And I admire the strength in myself too. I'm proud of myself that I did that thing that I was terrified to do. Like, I took the risk. It could have absolutely been as I feared. But I took the risk because I know I needed it, and I don't know if I would still be here if I didn't. And I have reasons to live, you know, my children and my grandchildren. That's the one thing that keeps me from doing anything awful to myself, really, is because I'm so empathic that I can see and hear what it would be like for them to lose me, like finding out and just all that stuff. Like, I just can't imagine hurting them in that way. But I do, again, still believe, like, there has to be a point where you have to allow a human being that is suffering to decide for themselves how long do they want to continue to suffer. Because just because I'm no longer suicidal does not mean that I'm not suffering very deep mental and emotional things. I have not resolved any of the abuse that occurred from my entire childhood into adulthood. Not all of it was sexual abuse, but we're talking verbal and emotional abuse as well. And yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say. Sometimes my brain just says, no, bitch, we're not going there. And it redirects to this blank spot where I'm just like, I don't know. So, I think I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm at 51 minutes, and that's a long video, and I'm actually really tired. Like, this has pooped me out. But essentially, we'll leave off with me at the facility, and I will pick it up the next time I pick it up. I will try my best for it to not be 4 months. I'll try my best to make it be in a few days. Tomorrow's not a good day, so I can't pick it up tomorrow. But because, I can tell you very quickly, I am moving to Florida. Essentially, it's the only place I have left to go. Just because it's not because my girlfriend is like, get the fuck out. She's way too sweet to do that. So I'm getting the fuck out myself because I don't want to take advantage of her. And I don't want her to feel like I'm taking advantage of her. And she's been generous for long enough. It's time for me to move on. And I made that decision very recently. I will talk about that later. It's not something I want to do, but I don't have anywhere else to go. So, but we'll talk about that later. For now, I hope that you have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you very soon. I promise it will not be 4 months. Okay? Okay. Bye.